Hello, martial arts and yoga friends. I haven't done a video like this for a long time. I've got some of these videos are kind of in a series. I've got one about Ashtanga for Karateka that I haven't really finished yet, and I'm feeling kind of behind on that process. I'll get to it. Just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with some busyness this time of the year for me. But I wanted to do a little sort of sidebar note about things. And I was reminded the other day because of a conversation I had with somebody about another conversation I had years and years ago. I was teaching at a music conservatory, and one of my friends was this really fantastic piano teacher. And he was relating to me a phone call he got from somebody who wanted to start piano lessons. And they were having a normal kind of conversation about that, and it sounded like it was a good fit. And they were talking about money and scheduling and stuff. And for some reason, it just occurred to him to ask kind of an unusual question. He said, "Do you own a piano?" And this person said, "No, she didn't." And he said, "Well, how are you going to practice piano if you're taking piano lessons?" And she said, "Well, I'll be coming to you. I'll come to your studio, and you have a piano, right?" And my friend says, "Yeah." And she says, "So I'll come once a week and learn to play the piano." And he goes, and then he had to explain to her that, no, you need to have a piano at home or access to a piano in some way so that you can practice more or less every day in order to make this process work. And he told me the story, and we laughed about it. But then, we talked some more, and it's like, well, it's not like she's stupid or something. I mean, she didn't know. And a lot of what teachers have to teach are things that people in a given field, everybody knows. Everybody in the field of music knows that you have to practice on a pretty much daily basis if you're going to progress in this kind of a process. But she didn't know that, and so she needed to be taught that. So great. I love teaching stuff that I'm really confident about and I really understand. so that worked out really well. But it's true in our field as well, and that very same thing that we need to establish a practice more or less daily is also something that can be misunderstood and perhaps more easily misunderstood because we're doing these physical practices. So other things that one could compare to what we do would be, say, like sport activities. So if you're a kid and you join a soccer team or a hockey team or something like that, well, you have practices that you attend, like our classes, right? So you think, well, I do 2 or 3 classes a week, I'm done. Or maybe you're taking a dance class and you take dance class once or twice a week or something. And if you wanted more practice at dancing, you would sign up for more classes if you had the time to do that. And that's not what this is. This stuff is more like music lessons than it is a sport activity. So the class, or in our cases now, we're doing video exchanges, serve the function of supporting your practice. But your practice is the thing. That's it. It's your at-home practice. So that's one thing that's actually universal within any area that we call practice. In Sanskrit they call sadhana. And so we know about qigong. We do a standing practice. We know about yoga practice. And of course, we have martial arts practice. There's many other practices. People do, study of ancient texts as a practice, calligraphy, flower arrangement, certainly meditation practices. There's archery. There's all kinds of things that have been curriculums have been structured to be understood and done within a practice, a sadhana context. Within the martial arts practice, there's another aspect which is also non-controversial and virtually universal. And that is that we're not just waving our arms around, no matter how intensely we're waving our arms around. There has to be some sort of physical exercise that we do, obviously. I would say obviously, but it's not obvious to everyone. And so that's where our Ashtanga practice goes. For those of us who are doing martial arts, we do the Ashtanga practice as kind of the minimal exercise that we could possibly do that would support what we're doing. But it's pretty concentrated, so we can get a lot of work done. We don't have to go to a gym. We don't need any equipment. We just get on our bedroom floor and we can do this work. And so it works out really well for us. And there is this ancient connection. It seems, as far as we can tell, that these practices were really connected and somehow were divided and these links have been reforged now in the modern age, and not just by us. We're actually not that unusual. A lot of martial artists practice not just yoga but Ashtanga yoga. That's become very, I would not going to say standard, but it's relatively common. So there's Okinawan dojos that do it, and there's traditional dojos that practice Ashtanga, and there's mixed martial artists and cage fighters, and those people are practicing Ashtanga yoga, and they're like, this is it. This is the best thing I've ever done. And there's lots of other kinds of things you can do. There's a conditioning aspect that we work on, and Makawara for basically conditioning the weapons. There's you can use weight training, and the universal part is that all responsible martial arts teachers are teaching something. Maybe not Ashtanga yoga, but some sort of calisthenics or aerobic exercise or weight training of some kind. Some kind of weight bearing exercise. It's pretty much universal. So I just wanted to throw those two things out there for you. That the idea of a daily practice is not only not unusual, it's built right into the word. It's a practice, right? What we do is a practice, and by definition, a practice is something that you practice. and in a way, and it's like sort of the non-optional nature of a practice that is a big part of the benefit that derives from doing a practice. There's obviously the content of your particular practice brings something, but just the fact that you're doing anything on that kind of non-optional, I do this every day no matter what. And I've run into people that have said to me things like, well, my practice is to go for a walk in the woods. And I say, well, sure, could be. You don't have a support of a group of people that are, that we've all been doing this and have been doing it for centuries and have a curriculum in it, but that's okay. I know an artist that gets up every morning and does a drawing as a practice. That's a practice. But if it's going for a walk in the woods, my thing is like, well, if you're going for that walk in the woods, every day, including on days when the weather is terrible and it's the last thing you want to do, then that's a practice. But it's just when the spirit hits you and you enjoy it, that's not a practice. That's just a nice thing to do, and a healthy thing to do. I recommend it. I think we should all go for a walk in the woods, but that's not a practice unless it actually, fulfills the conditions of what an actual practice is. Anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't think that's news to anybody, but like I said, occasionally, really smart people with very good intentions just miss that particular bit of information, and it doesn't click. And we as teachers, it behooves us to teach the obvious things on occasion. So hopefully that's of interest to at least some of you. Thanks.